President Donald Trump once again is suggesting that maybe some of the U.S. cities that are slated to host World Cup games in 2026 are unsafe. So he was asked about the new socialist mayor-elect of Seattle, Katie Wilson, and how that might factor into previous threats he's made about pulling the World Cup.
The new mayor-elect of Seattle is a Democratic socialist. Seattle has
or beyond. I watched her.
Right, Seattle has
that's more than socialism.
Right, Seattle has 6 World Cup games. How close are you going to be watching that city with the crime?
If we think there's going to be a sign of any trouble, I would ask Johnny to move that to a different city. We have a lot of cities that would love to have it number one, and will do it very safely. So if we think there's a problem in Seattle where you have a very, very liberal/communist mayor, I would say, it's certainly beyond just liberal. I watched her over the weekend. Wow, that's another beauty we got there. But if we think there's going to be a problem, Johnny, can I say we will move? I don't think you're going to have this problem, but we're going to move the event to someplace where it's going to be appreciated and safe.
Yeah, well, I think safety and security is the number one priority for a successful World Cup.
I also just laugh at. So he said, I saw Katie Wilson speaking. What a beauty there. And the Seattle media took it literally. Like Como News did a story suggesting he was commenting on her looks. No, he was clearly making a sarcastic remark about yet another socialist. Like, that's a real winner there. Just ridiculous. Now, when he called me very attractive, that was not sarcasm. I want to be clear and differentiate. My compliment I got from the president was sincere, I think. But I don't really think, and I'm just going to put my stake in the ground here, the president and the White House are not going to move the World Cup. It's really too late at this point. And when are you going to move it? I mean, you move it in January, you're like months away. Could you get another city ready to host the World Cup? He's been threatening this for a couple months, though. Here's a clip of him from the end of September.
No, if any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup or for the Olympics, where they have Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go we'll move it around a little bit. But I hope that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think he's just putting them on notice that, get it together. We want to put a good foot forward, and so we expect you to take your public safety issues seriously and resolve them before the World Cup. I don't really think it's feasible to move it at this point unless there's some substantial issue that comes up. The Seattle World Cup Committee put out a statement to Como News. They said, we're working lockstep with the White House task force. We're working at every level of government, local, state, national, even international, on the border to make sure this event comes off as the best event ever. And so we're super pleased with how it's all going. And they said they were just in D.C. They're working with the administration to make sure that it goes off without a hitch. Bruce Harrell, who's still going to be mayor for at least another month or so, said President Trump's comments about moving the 2026 World Cup out of Seattle once again display his ignorance about our city and what we stand for. The safety of residents and visitors to Seattle is always a top concern of our administration. I disagree. I mean, I think Bruce Harrell has cared more about public safety than some mayors, and I think he cares a hell of a lot more about public safety than the incoming mayor, Katie Wilson. Apparently, though, she has already reached out and had reached out proactively to the Seattle World Cup Committee, to work with them. But again, so a couple things here. And I'm going to get to our daily subscriber show poll on this in a second to get your guys' thoughts on whether you think Seattle really does have enough public safety concerns to warrant this. The World Cup has been played around the world in some pretty rough places, in some pretty rough cities. So to act as if Seattle is the roughest place or the most concerning place from a public safety perspective, that the World Cup could be played and you have people coming from third world countries to watch it, I think that they'll think Seattle is just fine. Now, does Seattle have some serious public safety issues that have gone unaddressed and have gotten worse for years and years and years? Yes. Do we expect that Seattle, which calls itself a world-class city in a first world country and the greatest country on earth, do we want to put our best foot forward? Absolutely. Should there be people dying of fentanyl overdoses in the storefronts downtown? Should there be human feces that World Cup fans have to step over? Should there be tents and crime and people in the midst of mental health emergencies freaking messing with fans? No, of course not. We need to get all of that figured out. And what I don't want to see, in which I think will probably be what happens, because it's what happened before the All-Star game, they're going to go in there and sweep it all out and have a big police presence for like 2 weeks before and maybe a couple days after while everyone travels home. And then the rest of us, poor schmucks who actually have to live here and work here, are going to be back to business as usual within probably a week of the World Cup leaving. And that's unacceptable. We shouldn't be talking about improving public safety at some rapid clip only before a major event happens here. Now, one of the things that I will say, just in the interest of pointing out hypocrisy, is that earlier this year, leading Democrats in Washington state were the ones saying that Seattle was not safe to host the World Cup.
I'll just add, this could have been an event that would have been incredible for the state of Washington. But what is happening at the federal level, people don't want to come to the United States of America. So it's going to be interesting for me to see who actually shows up and where they come from. But it is not safe for people from other countries to come to the United States right now, because people are literally being picked up from the streets and taken away.
She said it. That's a Democrat, Senator Moncadingra. It's literally not safe. So Trump is saying it's not safe. Democrats freak out. Moncadingra says it's not safe for people to come here. This crickets. It's because she's saying that it's not safe because of Trump's immigration enforcement. Now, I don't want Seattle to lose the World Cup. I think our businesses more than ever really need the economic impact that the World Cup will have. I have a lot of concerns, though, about the state of things in Seattle, especially when we get the new socialist, police abolitionist mayor in. I'm very worried about where things will be and the safety of people attending and the opportunity we have to embarrass ourselves on the world stage. But I'm hopeful that the World Cup goes forward without any issues at all and that it's a wonderful, fantastic experience. Now, I do wonder, though, if there's an argument to be made for the Trump administration in the interest of them carrying out their immigration enforcement and trying to improve our nation's immigration laws. I wonder if there's an opportunity for them to genuinely use the World Cup as leverage. I've heard some people suggest that the World Cup should not be able to take place in cities that are sanctuary cities. Now, if that's the argument the Trump administration were making, I might agree with that. And I hate to say that because I want Seattle to benefit from it economically. But there is so much that's detrimental to having a sanctuary city. I mean, I think Trump would be within his right to say, hey, if you are a sanctuary jurisdiction, you're not allowed to host the World Cup. Now, he probably should have said it 7 months ago. But I wonder if that's something that people would, who agree with that issue might be more open to. It's like pull the World Cup from cities in states that are sanctuary jurisdictions.